All right, welcome to the first challenge video of the course. The goal of these videos is to give you an opportunity to practice the concepts that we talked about in the previous lessons by giving you a coding challenge. And the coding challenge for this lesson is simple. What I want to do here is, keeping the existing React hook-based component, I want to add two more buttons to our interface. The first button should have the text decrease, and it should decrease the count by 1 each time we click on it. And I also want to add another button with the text reset that is going to reset the count. In other words, it should bring it back to its starting value of 0. So you're going to have to add a couple buttons, you're going to have to add a couple click handlers, and I recommend keeping all of your logic, all of your business logic to update the values outside of the actual return value. So keep everything in separate functions just so you get a general sense of how functions work in the bodies of other functions. That's a good chance to practice that. So go ahead and pause the video and I will rejoin you shortly and show you how I solved this problem. All right, so the solution here is pretty simple. All we have to do is emulate the design of our existing button. So I'm going to go ahead and copy line number 9 and paste it down 2 times. And of course, our second button is going to have the text decrease, and our third button is going to have the text reset. So now, because I have this original function called handle click isn't really the best name anymore because we have more than one button. So what I'm going to do is rename this to handle increase. This is the button that is increasing the count, so it makes sense the function is called handle increase, and then I also have to change the function up here. And then again, the logic for the other two functions are going to be pretty similar, so I have to add separate click handlers for each of our buttons because each one is going to be doing something different. So I'm going to assume that I'm going to eventually have a function called handle decrease, and eventually have a function called handle reset. Of course, these function names are arbitrary. They're up to you. You certainly could have chosen a different name. You probably did, and that's totally fine. So now we need to define the actual handle decrease and handle reset functions. We do that in the body of our app function, and this can be, of course, either regular arrow functions or just plain JavaScript function declarations with the function keyword. So how does that work? I can define a function, call it handle decrease. This one can be something like an arrow function, and in here what I can do is simply set the count to count minus 1. So I want to take the current count, decrement it by 1, and then return a new value. And then for handle reset, just to show you an alternate syntax, I can do that with a plain JavaScript function declaration. So handle reset, provide my function body here, and here I can simply once again do set count. And this time, instead of incrementing the current count by 1 or decrementing it by 1, I just need to reset it. So I can feed in a plain value of 0, and that will reset it. So when I save this, we're going to have 3 buttons: increase, decrease, and reset. Let's see if this works. Increase works great. Decrease works great. And so does reset. That brings it back to 0. Here it is in the other direction, raising it up, bringing it back to 0. So you can see here there's a lot of different syntactical options available to us. We can do arrow functions, we can do plain JavaScript functions, but the whole idea is that everything is now within the body of a single functional component. App is our functional hooks-based React component, and within it we're using the existing React hooks like useState, as well as plain JavaScript functions and the concept of closures to write our React components. All right, so that's the first challenge. I hope you enjoyed it, and in the next lesson we're going to take a look at how we can use an object as our initial default value for the useState hook.